Hello.
We are live.
Yay, you made it. Hello, everybody.
Hey, everyone. This is Naomi and Eve. We are coming to you live. Before we get started, I see that there are many of you in the chat right now. If you can hear us and see us clearly, please type into the chat that you can. And Eve's going to get us started a little bit here. So take it away, Eve.
Hello, everyone. Well, first and foremost, welcome to day 6. My goodness, I'm so proud of everybody for being here and for choosing you and for making it. You've gone through 5 days, and it sounds like from the feedback that everybody's provided that it's been pretty transformational. It's been pretty eye-opening. So I thank you for seeing it through, because sometimes when we start to shed lights on parts of ourselves, we start thinking like, oh, about that. So I applaud you. I applaud you for choosing yourself and for getting to be different this time. So welcome. So is everything looking good so far technology-wise, Naomi?
I am checking the chat now. You know, there's a little bit of a delay.
Okay.
Looks like a few people are saying, yes, yes, I can see you. So, yay, we are good.
Yes, and thank you for your honesty and your vulnerability, everybody. We've really appreciated that. You know, that's really when your life gets to be different, is when you get to be honest and real with yourself. And that's why it's a huge thing for me, Naomi and myself, just keep it real and to not, you know, sugarcoat things and to be honest with you, because that's ultimately what got us to keep the weight off and to really experience this transformation. So I honor and welcome everybody. So one of the things that we're gonna be talking about today, some things, if you never see us again, we want to give you with we want to leave you with one of those beneficial pieces to our journey, because as you're discovering with your discovery sheets and your choose your own adventures, this is such a personalized journey that there is not one perfect diet. So we're going to be going over that with some of the questions that everybody has asked in the last few days. There's no one perfect formula. And for 2 individuals who have not only lost/released 150 pounds, sustained it for 6 years, and I believe, Naomi, it's 7 for you. Yay! High five to you. Woo! And everybody can have that transformation. But what's really sustained that for us, has allowed that, is the fact that we have made this a personalized approach based off of our personality, based off of our strengths and our weaknesses. And that's a huge part of this, is to look at what's working for you and what isn't, and to play off those strengths and weaknesses. We tend to go to shame and self-ridicule so often when it comes to, oh, I'm just so slow when I try to exercise. That's fine. That's where you are. But that's why we want to leave you with this last little piece of this webinar that has been the most beneficial piece for Naomi through her journey, through my journey. And now when we work one-on-one with individuals and when we create products like this, we help individuals to understand that part of themselves as well. So before we jump on to that, Naomi, is there anything that you want to add, say to everybody for being here for so long with us?
Oh, well, I really appreciate everybody just for showing up, like you said, showing up for themselves, to be here with us, to be vulnerable, especially in the Facebook community. Those of you that have decided to join the Facebook community, I think there's about 1/3 of you that decided to join. So I honor you guys. I appreciate you guys for showing up. I honor all of the comments that you've left us about every single day's topics and telling us how much that it meant to you to hear that it's okay to eat the way that you want to, like within healthy boundaries. For instance, it's okay to exercise a certain way. It's okay to feel a certain way. One thing that really helped me on this journey was learning that it's okay, kind of getting that permission from another person to know that it's okay. I already knew all of this stuff inside of me. I know that many of the women that are in this webinar right now, or in this event with us, have, believe it or not, nutritional degrees, work in the health field. You already know a lot of this stuff yourself, but sometimes we need the permission from another individual to tell us it's okay to live it out. It sounds so silly. That's the way it was for me. I took many nutritional classes, and nutrition was my thing, but I needed somebody to tell me it's okay to do that. It's okay. You don't need to follow the Whole30 or the paleo diet or a vegan diet or whatever. You need to do your own thing. And I need somebody to tell me that. So that's what I wanted to throw out there as we get started.
Awesome. And that was a great recap of, we can recap the days briefly. Great to mention food. Day one, so we started that off because of how important it is. And it's funny that Naomi and myself have such similar backgrounds, that I was a nutrition major in college and I was 340 pounds and I was the heaviest person in that class. And I remember just how much shame I had around being so overweight and knowing how to, I should be eating better and I should be exercising and just not feeling like I could. And so for a lot of you who asked about like paleo diet, should be doing paleo. I tried vegan, I tried vegetarian, none of it's working. Chances are you're probably just so stressed out that your body doesn't know what to do. Chances are that's a lot of it, because when we really just check in with ourselves and we let go of a lot of the worry and the stress and the shoulds and oh my goodness, I'm supposed to be doing this, I'm afraid of food, or oh, this is a bad food. When we can let go of that, a lot of the uncertainty falls off and the body knows exactly how to heal itself, how to let go of weight. And that was a huge thing for myself with regards to food, was learning that I didn't have to fear it anymore. That yes, sometimes it's good to have parameters. So for me, like I shared with everybody, I went vegan, but you don't necessarily have to be so regimented. You don't have to be so cookie cutter with everything. If you don't feel like you're educated with food, start looking into it. If you're looking for a one-stop shop diet, you're never gonna find it because biochemically we're all so different. So we're going to be actually talking at the very end of this. So make sure to stay with us the entire time, because we have a special kind of segue. What do you do from here now that we've had these 5 days? What do we do? We have something that we've created that will benefit you. So if you're struggling with food and just not knowing what to do, this can really, really alleviate that. But yeah, a big part was permission with food for me, and letting go of the expectation that perfect, because it didn't. So yeah, food was a big one. We could tell for everybody. Food was a big one, that there's no such thing as a bad food, just better choices.
Oh yeah. Eve, a lot of the questions that we've received, almost all of them are about food. And one thing for me,
celebrated.
Yeah. And one thing for me was honesty with myself around food. Like you said in the beginning, it's knowing our strengths and our weaknesses. Well, for me, I have certain weaknesses when it comes to food. I have certain trigger foods, for instance. And it's not a matter of, oh, I'm a food addict or I'm a sugar addict. It's a matter of knowing that I have some triggers, and certain times of the month, I have to have foods out of my house. Like if it's my menstrual cycle, I know that I'm going to be craving sugar a lot more. So, sometimes we have to get to that place where we have to eliminate before we can moderate. And that requires some honesty with yourself. So I wanted to make sure that was out there also, that, yes, there is a little bit of elimination or a little bit of restriction, but it's overall for your overall well-being.
Absolutely. And it's remembering that. That's something we're going to talk about shortly here, is why you're doing it. That when I went vegan, I didn't do it because I needed a regiment perfectly. I did it because I needed to eliminate things that I had an unhealthy relationship with, and meat and cheese were one of them for me. So know that about yourself. So if, you don't need to give up bread per se, if you're not having physical reactions to it, or if you don't have an unhealthy relationship to it. But again, these are all things that we're going to talk to you about later on today. So yes, food. So thank you for your vulnerability around food. Definitely don't have to be afraid of it. So day 2, setbacks and failures. That was another a big one that I think resonated with people. They needed to hear that, that it's not wrong where they are. We were talking about that, Naomi. That really resonated with people.
For sure. I think when I was looking in the Facebook community, that was a big one, is that it's not wrong to be where you're at right now, to be going through failure, because if you're not going through failure, then you're not going to be successful. You're not learning anything. If you're not experiencing failure, you're just sitting on your couch. Yeah, you're sitting on your couch, not doing anything if you're not experiencing failure. So I think that was a huge one. And then the other one that came in a close second was, don't slash all of the tires. That a tire analogy that I presented in in that video for day 2 was, you know, it's not all or nothing. You don't get out and slash all the tires just because you messed up one time.
Yeah, exactly. That was my secret weapon. We have 365 days in a year, and today is only one of them. So if I had a slip up, I have 364 other days.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, every day is a new day to try something different and to learn from it. If we don't have that self-awareness when we're going through our failure, though, we don't learn. So there's that self-awareness component as well.
Absolutely, yes. And that's huge about any day that we've gone through in these last 5 days. Is self-awareness is so key on understanding your behaviors, your beliefs, the meanings you're giving things, and why you're ultimately doing them. Getting to know yourself was one of my huge secret weapons, as I know it was for you, Naomi. So day 3 was patience, which was interesting. A lot of people said that was the hardest part for them. So Naomi, why don't you tell us a little bit about how patience was for you during this journey?
Oh, you know, well, during the first part of my journey, honestly, patience wasn't a big deal for me. I have the personality that can just go, 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 honestly, be miserable for a long time, be stuck in my routine and my habits and get to where I want to be. But then when I got to where I wanted to be, that's where I had to have the patience, because you no longer have the weight coming off. You no longer have that little thing that you're looking forward to on the scale, that number. So there's, over the last 7 years of maintaining. That's a long freaking time of just not watching the scale move at all. I mean, well, it moves, but you know, it's not going down drastically all the time. So you have to appreciate where you're at right now. And that's been the hugest thing for me, is appreciating every little thing, having that, finding the adventure, as I always bring up adventure, finding that in every little thing. Like, for instance, where I live at right now is not where I want to live at, especially in the winter time. I do not like winter. And my husband and I always talk about like wanting to move to a tropical climate. But the truth is, after a while, we would stop appreciating that tropical climate. We would find a reason to complain about it. So if we can't appreciate where we're at right now, how are we going to appreciate where we're going to be at in the future? And that very much pertains to our bodies and how we feel and how we're living. That was the hugest thing for me.
Yeah. And thank you for talking about that.
Sure.
I think so many people, when they think about losing weight, they think about, you know, that they're going to get to this weight and everything's just going to make sense, and that their life is going to fall into place. It's almost like what commercials do for you, that if you take this pill, you're going to suddenly have an amazing life. And that's so not the case. For me, patience came on both ends of this journey. While I was releasing it, it came off rather quickly. But it was like, I'm still not where I want to be. I'm still not where I want to be. And then after that, it was being at this other side, being patient. Where's my body going to go? And from here, and being patient with the transformation. And I always felt that it was physical, but realistically, it was emotional. It was who I wanted to be at this stage. It wasn't a body type that I was trying to achieve. It was a quality of life that I was trying to achieve. So having that level of patience and that self-compassion and that self-awareness during this entire time of this is who I am today. Because Eve today, although I am different, and I'm sure Naomi, you can attest to this for your own journey, I am definitely a different woman than when I started, but I'm still the same Eve. Like, I'm still goofy and I do lots of voices and I'm very animated and, you know, I still love food, but I'm a different quality. I'm a different variety now.
You're a more mature Eve.
Hey, we're more mature. We're wiser. And so that's why I teach self-love. We're going to talk a lot about self-compassion, self-acceptance, self-awareness, because it's meeting yourself where you are and liking who that is.
I completely agree. Just like you said, we're both the same people that we were when we started, but We are more mature. I have the same personality for the most part when I started. I have the same likes and dislikes, very much like Eve, but we are so much more evolved and happier than when we started. So.
Oh my goodness, yes. It's like I can write on the That's awesome. Day 4. That was a day where a lot of people were quiet. That was exercise. What's funny, we were joking and laughing that there wasn't a lot of activity during day 4 for individuals. And so during our Q&A, if you have any questions about exercise that you want to present to us, please do so. Because that is a huge part. I mean, it's an integral part of Naomi in my life. That yes, I am still the same person and I have a different quality of life and you know, I'm more mature. I exercise just about every single day. And if I don't start off in the morning, I'm going to find a way to do push-ups or sit-ups or something to feed my body. Exercise, I mentioned this on the Facebook group, is my antidepressant. It is my refresher. It is my waking meditation. It is my time for me. It is my time to learn my body, learn my strengths, learn my weaknesses, and feed my body what it needs. So like we talked about during the discovery sheets and choosing your own adventure, and Naomi will talk in a moment about how she loves adventure and making things so fun with exercise. You got to find what works for you. If that means it's belly dancing, if that means it's hula hooping, if that means it's walking the neighborhood for an hour or taking a step aerobics class, like figure out what works. There is something out there for you. And if you're just sitting there believing that exercise is always going to be hard and it's going to suck, guess what? It's always going to be hard and it's going to suck. So if that's your challenge, we need to work on the beliefs around exercise first.
For sure. When we attach that outcome of we're going to lose weight through exercise, that's when it becomes work. That's when it becomes something strenuous. But when we take the weight loss component off of it, we know that the outcome of weight loss will eventually happen. But when we just go ahead and take that off, and that we're going to have that as like an added bonus to exercising. When we just exercise for the enjoyment, then we grow to love it more. We want to do it. We see it as an adventure or something that is like self-care and self-love, instead of beating ourselves up doing a workout DVD that is always going to be super challenging. What's that?
Insanity.
Yeah, insanity. Thank you. we're on the same wavelength right now. The insanity videos, for instance, if you're constantly beating yourself up with those, thinking that that's what's going to lose you weight, that's what's going to make you hate exercise. We all need to push ourselves. Yes, there is a time to push ourselves. But like I mentioned in the video for that particular day, our day of exercise, when you're starting out or when you're coming back from a long break without exercise, you need to make at least 80% of your exercise enjoyable and fun. And then 20% of the time challenging yourself. And 20% of the time might be doing those DVDs. What do you think, Eve?
I absolutely agree with you, hands down. I love high intensity, and I didn't start out that way. High intensity was walking, for me at the start. Like brisk walking was my P90X. But I allowed that. We resist pain so much. We're going to talk about that in a few minutes. The moment something hurts, we're like, nope, it's bad. And there's a difference. There's a difference when we're pushing past a threshold and something is actually causing you physical pain that is harmful. It is actually incredibly beneficial to get yourself to that point. And what I love about exercise is when I get myself to a target heart rate, when I get to a place where it's like, oh my, I don't feel like I can go any further, I learn so much about myself. And I feel that a lot of this journey has been that you step into a level of uncomfort. I'm not saying doing it all the time. I love what you just said, Naomi, 20% of the time. That's kind of life in general, 80-20 rule. When you can take yourself to that place for 20% of the time, I guarantee you, your life will change. I learn more about myself when I step into what's uncomfortable than what I learn about myself when I'm feeling comfortable. And my favorite quote, I'm sure I probably said this every day on the webinar series, is I didn't say it was going to be easy, but I did say it was going to be worth it. So yeah, some days I walk, some days I do yoga, some days I do like 100 burpees, you know, like it depends on what my flavor is for the day. And what I want to do. I don't do the same thing every day anymore because I would go crazy. So I 100% agree with you. You got to push yourself a little. It doesn't have to be every day. It doesn't have to be P90X all the time. But you got to have balance. Got to find your rhythm.
For sure.
And then, so yes, exercise. So don't think that we didn't notice that nobody was commenting on that day. So if there is any concerns or anything you're uncomfortable with, you know, obviously bring it up to Naomi and myself, because yes, we may be, you know, Naomi's amazing. She's a marathon runner. I have done a half marathon. I love to run, but I tend to do more like the CrossFit type stuff. But we were there. We were there once when we weren't doing these things, when we were sitting on the couch and spent hours just thinking about exercising and just eating chips instead. So we can, if that's where you're at, we can relate with that. So bring it to our attention. And the fifth and final day was focus and overwhelm, which was another day that we didn't get a lot of feedback, so, which is fine. You know, maybe it all was just content was good. If you do have any questions, like I said, bring them up during the Q&A. And Naomi, I'd be curious to hear your take on what focus and overwhelm meant to you during this entire journey.
Oh, there were a couple of different things. I mean, first of all, it was all of the information that was out there on, you know, diets and exercise, and that can lead to a lot of overwhelm when you feel so lost and confused about what you're supposed to be doing. And then for me, like I think I had mentioned in the video, was the social comparison of, well, this girl's doing this in the gym, so maybe I should do this. Or my friend is doing this, maybe I should do that. You get all of this social comparison going on and feeling like you need to do more just because of that. And that leads to me to overwhelm. Instead of being focused on my own journey and not giving a shit about what other, I'm just going to say shit about what other people are doing, then I can be more successful in my journey when I can shut all of the noise out. All of the best tips to lose weight, best tips to get six-pack abs, best tips to eliminate cellulite, blah, 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 blah. When I eliminate all of that junk and just focus on what I'm doing and building the healthier habits, trusting the process that the weight will come off eventually, then there's, you know, no reason to feel overwhelmed.
Yeah.
So that's my take.
Bingo. Yeah, beautiful. And she hit it right on the head with that. It is trusting. It's going to come off. Honestly, when I look at it sometimes, like people are like, wow, how did you do it, Eve? And I'm like, I just kept doing what I knew was healthy. And I guess why I kept it off is longer than so many, you know, like we both have Naomi, is that I just kept going. You know, I kept trusting it. And I think that's really the I mean, yes, her and I exercise, we eat right, we take care of ourselves on multiple different levels. We just kept going. You know, there were times where we would, I don't currently have hiccups. You just pick out yourself up, you dust yourself off, and you start all over again. You just keep going. With regards to focus and overwhelm for myself, you bring up a great point of letting go of like the health tips and do this and you will lose weight. You know, take those things with a grain of salt, because part of me was reading things like Shape Magazine, Women's Health, Men's Health, or Men's Health, Fitness, whatnot, articles upon articles. I was just fascinated by the topic, but I didn't live by them. You know, it's kind of like a recipe. You can look at this like a recipe. So all these different people are giving you recipes. So we all know we like a lasagna. There are so many varieties of lasagna that you can take. So you can decide to use meat sauce, or you can go vegetarian. You can have noodles, or you can have zucchini noodles. So these health tips are no different. They're just tools. They're just options that you can do. Maybe you make your lasagna the same way every time, or maybe you want to change it up each time for variety. You have to find what works for you, and know that even if you find something that works, it doesn't mean it's always going to work. And that was something that I would get very overwhelmed about. I'd get so focused on, I have to be vegan forever, and if I'm not, then I'm shameful. Well, biochemically, my body changed and I started exercising differently. And for me and my health, because it started affecting my health, I had to start bringing in protein. And then I started getting unhealthy with that and started being like, whoa, well, I'm going to have all of the meat. And so then I had to start bringing, so then it was like, whoa, I need balance. So it's really ultimately what you're allowing to focus on, to look at on a consistent basis. And through this journey, I didn't realize that focus was my true secret weapon. Was what I think about, my life becomes. So if I'm thinking about the reasons why I can't do something, I'm going to be provided with the reasons on why I can't do it. So that was probably, I think day 5 was the most, I mean, they're all very beneficial, but I'd have to probably say focus and overwhelm with regards to sustaining weight loss and allowing myself to lead a happy life.
That's interesting because my secret weapon was day 3.
Very nice. Very nice. Yeah, patience. I think that's most people's from what I heard. And I would definitely say it was in the top ones of my tool belt, but focus, because when I shifted my focus, I could then be patient. So it helped me segue everything of like what is my strategy? We're going to talk about strategies in a few moments here. Figuring out what is your strategy for your personality and for your journey. So that's awesome. See, even within creating this, we're on different pages, same page or some page.
Yes.
So awesome. Well, we've been talking about, if we could leave you with one thing, what are we going to leave you? So we want to bring up some slides here, and we're going to discuss, if you never see us again, and if you went through these 5 days, you felt inspired, this is the last piece.
I'm going to bring up that slide.
Beautiful. Because you're amazing. Ta-da! So today we're talking about your motivational forecast, getting you from no to go. So Naomi, would you like to kind of start us off and talk about what the forecast looks like for some people and what we're doing here with this?
Sure. When we are thinking about why we are starting on this weight loss journey, sometimes some ideas come up, like I want to fit in cute clothes, or I don't want to have my legs rubbed together anymore, or I want to be able to do what my sister does, stuff like that. And those are all great reasons why you would take on this journey. But at the core of those reasons why you are starting this journey are your emotions. And so, yes, Eve has made these beautiful slides for us, and hopefully you guys can see them. Let us know, by the way, if you can see these slides, because technology is a little nuts. But at the core of the reasons why we want to lose the weight and start feeling better are our emotions. And this is something that I really didn't think about a whole lot when I started my weight loss journey. But it's so powerful for staying motivated for the long term. Yes, we need the commitment to ourselves, but we also need a little bit of motivation to get us started and then kind of keep us going. Thank you, Chloe, for letting us know that you can see the slides.
Yay, Chloe. Thanks for being an active participant.
We have a lot of active participants.
Yay, I don't get to see anything you're saying, everybody. So
I know, I'm sorry.
That's not your fault. That's technology.
Yeah. We'll save some of the questions and comments for the Q&A here, but it says one person said it's small print, it's blurry. You will be getting these slides on Tuesday sent to you in an email with your replay, so no worries. But I guess with this first slide, we're really wanting you to get honest with what's really making you want to change. Yeah, so it's go ahead, Eve.
Oh, I was going to say that ultimately, what's motivating you? How emotions are affecting your behavior. We look at, so many of us are focused, and we very much relate with you all that, food was mine and Naomi's focus, as well as exercise. But something that her and I, on now being on the other side of this journey, have realized that it came down to ultimately what got us motivated to change. And this is an individual basis. So we have we have 6 different forecasts. We have 3 of dark and dreary, and then we have 3 on the bottom, which you can see, which are, you know, partly cloudy, and then it looks like the sunshine for the rest. So I'll briefly just go over them. So how can each forecast interfere or enhance your quality of life? We have shame, we have grief, we have self-hate. And for some people, it's like, whoa, we're talking about really heavy emotional things. Well, like Naomi said, we have to be honest. We have to get real with ourselves. And some people aren't ready to do this, and that's fine. That's completely fine. If you need to stop here at this place and say, you know, I'm not comfortable exploring this part of these emotions, that's absolutely fine. But Naomi and myself can absolutely attest to the more you resist this part, the more you will hit plateaus. Would you agree with that, Naomi?
Oh yeah, completely, completely.
Because if you don't know what's, you know, motivating you and not motivating you, because that's the thing about motivation, it's 100% reliant on how you're feeling. So when we get motivated, we're like, oh, I'm motivated to exercise. Well, because you're feeling good. But what keeps you committed to the activity? And so at the bottom, we have bliss, joy, and self-love. And so, you know, ultimately we're bringing light to what motivates you. And for some of you, you'd be like, I don't know, probably joy. And interesting to know is that Naomi and I both, from our own personal experience, as well as being weight loss coaches, that the top 3, the shame, the grief, and the self-hate, are actually what kick you into the driver's seat of getting you to make the transformation. I know for you, Naomi, you it was definitely not sunshine and even partly cloudy skies for you that got you. What was your motivation forecast?
Well, it's the bliss, the joy, the self-love is something that I would have told other people motivated me. But when it really came down to it, when I was being honest with myself, it was mostly shame.
Yeah. Me too. Yes, I was telling Naomi earlier when we were going through these that I think it was kind of a tie for first place for all 3 on top. I was shameful of my body and how I looked in the world and how I looked in clothes and how people perceived me. I had grief because I knew there was a quality of life I could be living and I wasn't. This isn't to say that everybody that is obese or overweight is having this type of shameful experience. But what I like to tell people I work with is my body did not match my soul. So who I know I am as a woman was not a size 30/26, 28, 30. I think at the heaviest I was a size 30. That was not me. That was not my authentic expression. I was carrying much baggage. So I had a lot of grief around that. And then self-hate. I mean, I think I shared this. I was bulimic. I also was a cutter. I don't know if I shared that with you all. I self-mutilated because I hated myself so much and nobody knew about those things. I talk about it, I didn't share it. Because it was almost like I just kind of wanted to wither away towards the end of this journey. So ultimately, it was finally recognizing that I was feeling shameful, I was feeling grief and sadness, and that I really just detested myself in so many ways that got me to start wanting to shift. There was the potential of joy that I shared with you, and we can actually go to the next slide, Naomi, because it'll still have these awesome forecasts. Thank you so much. So what motivates you? So like we're talking shame, grief, self-hate got us to motivate. It was also the potential for joy. I do want to address that. And what I mean by that is when I would get on like a treadmill or when I'd be walking my driveway, I would envision people cheering for me. And it'd be people who are close, like my brothers and my brother's friends, or maybe like boys I thought that were cute that would never be into me. Or people who I was like, God, I want you to be proud of me for something. I would envision them cheering me on. And so that potential of having people proud of me, that potential of accomplishing something would also get me out of bed. So it wasn't all doom and gloom. But it was also a potential quality of life for that one. So, you're seeing these slides, and we apologize if the font is too small, like Naomi said, that you will be sent these on Tuesday. So I want you to start thinking, because we're actually going to have you, actually, do we want them to like write this right now, Naomi? Do we want them to?
If you guys want to write some ideas down, if they come to you, we highly suggest that you have a journal or, just a piece of paper and a pen and start writing some stuff down, some motivations why you're starting this journey. Eve gave an example of joy, of one idea of people cheering her on as she's walking her driveway. That could be a motivator for you. You know, a motivator for me, joy-wise, was I was there to inspire other people. So much like my business name, Inspire Transformation, that part of that came from the idea while I was working out at close to around 300 pounds, was that I was there to inspire other women just like me to show up, to sweat, to put it all out there, and to know that it's okay to do that. So that was one of my motivators to do this. But like Eve said, a lot of our motivators in the beginning are going to be those so-called negative ones. And there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all. The more you judge your motivation,
the less motivation you'll have.
What's that, Eve?
I said exactly. The more you judge your motivation, the less motivation you're actually going to have.
Yeah, so it's okay to have those negative motivators of shame, grief, self-hate, whatever you want to call it. You know, some of my motivators were, you know, the idea that my mom was going to be proud of me. That kind of fell into grief for me, that motivation of grief, because I have a distant relationship with my mother. It's always been strained. And I thought, for some odd reason, by losing weight, she was going to be proud of me, and then all of a sudden, maybe I would, out of nowhere, become her favorite child out of the four of us. That did not happen, but it was a motivator for me at the time. So it's okay to have those types of motivators. Just don't judge them, and know that it's, you know, you're going to have negative ones, but you're going to have those positive ones as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And thank you for saying that, Naomi, because I think that's important. That, you know, some individuals asked different questions in the Facebook forum about these things. One of them being, you know, about loose skin and whatnot. And if that is a motivator, you know, I'm afraid to have loose skin, or I don't want to have loose skin, you know, that's going to affect the experience you're having. You have to honor it though. You have to honor that's, you know, what you're feeling, and that's a concern. For me, once I was on the journey, it's kind of like getting on a ride at an amusement park. You know, you're so I was at a lot of amusement parks this week, and I'd be so afraid at the start of it of something. And then once I got on the ride, a lot of the fear subsided, because I'm like, well, on the ride. So, you know, our journey, our journey of weight losses and weight release is like that as well, that at first it may be vain. So for me, it's like, I didn't want to look so fat. Was tired of protruding. I was tired of having to wear tight things underneath my clothes to suck in my gut. And it's funny, like sometimes I still do wear Spanx because I have a lot of loose skin. But it was first, it was health in a lot of regards. It was vain too. And, you know, that was what it was. But then the vain part kind of started to trickle off, and it reminded me why I'm doing this. It's for my health, which is a great segue for our next slide, Naomi, and something that you kept talking about was having a strong and compelling and specific why you're doing this. Naomi, I'd like you to talk about the specificity of that and why it's so important.
Well, yeah, first I wanted to address the fact that there is, I know we touched upon this a little bit, but there is the difference between the pain and the pleasure, the avoiding or the approaching, and attaching the experiences to those two things, knowing that, and you did touch upon this. I just didn't bring the slide up during the time that you were talking about it, but attaching the experience is very important for coming up with your reasons why you want to do this, because that helps the emotion come through just a little bit more. Like, and I know Eve and I didn't really talk about this, but for instance, I had a embarrassing experience of working in the back room of a grocery store, and I had my little video camera there, and I had a friend back there with me, and he was taking video of the back room. And when I saw that video after he recorded it, I saw a video of me with my butt crack showing. And that was so embarrassing, so embarrassing. And I can attach that feeling and that experience of embarrassment as a reason why I wanted to lose weight. And that made it more real for me. So anytime I wanted to go for a cupcake in the middle of the day, I could say, no, Naomi, remember that time your butt crack, your big old butt crack was showing, and video, you know, you had video of that. You don't want that experience again, do you? No. Okay, let's put the cupcake down and let's work on this weight loss journey. So
awesome.
I really wanted to throw that out there, that we need to attach an experience to it. Just like Eve was telling about the roller coaster, that, you know, it's easier once you're on it.
Yes, it is. Once you get going and you get momentum. And exactly. So pain for you. And for me, so, you know, I do remember you talking about that story, and those things are shameful. So if that like accessed a part of you where you were like, oh my God, I feel like I'm going to die, or, oh my God, like I'm mortified, you know, utilize that, use that as a tool. Maybe it was a mortifying experience, but that's a perfect example of Naomi taking something that was incredibly negative and using it as fuel. You know, fear, embarrassment, shame, these things can be burned as fuel, as motivation. For me, I remember being a nutrition major and sitting in class when we got to chapter 7, and it was on obesity. And it seemed like it was the longest week ever. And I was the only obese person in the class. And I remember whether it was actually everybody staring at me or me just creating that perception, that everybody was looking to me like, oh, you mean like this girl? Oh, you mean so fat and out of control like that? And I felt so furious, because like, but I'm eating yogurt and fruit. So like, I'm trying here, and I'm still fat. And I'm like, no, I'm not being honest with myself. Yeah, maybe I'm eating yogurt and fruit, but I'm also eating copious amounts of French fries, and I'm ordering shakes, and I'm having ultimate cheeseburgers. And, you know, it was so shameful. Like the same thing here, Naomi. It was like, oh no, I'm not going to go to Jack in a Box today, because I will not be that person again in class who is looked down upon because I'm overweight. Heck no.
Yeah, I love those, Eve. I love that experience, because like you were trying to segue into going into being more specific, that is very specific of why you would take on this weight loss journey. And that's what we want to do, is be as specific as possible when we're coming up with our motivational reasons why we're doing this. You know, I see in the chat right now, people saying that they want to do this because they want to have a better selection of cute clothes available to them. And that's a decent reason why you would want to do this, but that's not specific.
No, that's not motivating. Yeah, that keeps you comfortable, because you can have cute clothes now.
Yeah, you can. There's plenty. I mean, have you heard of Gwynny Bee? They have plenty of beautiful, cute, plus-sized clothes. So that is not really that motivating. I'm not putting it down. I'm just saying that that's not very specific. And when we are talking about being specific with your reasons why you're doing this, it's attaching the emotion in the experience. For instance, when I'm talking with my own health coaching clients or program members, a big one that comes up all of the time is, I want to be there for my kids. And once again, that's another great reason why you would want to take on this weight loss journey. And I have to tell you that that's still not very specific. That's pretty vague. You know, what is I want to be there for my kids really look like when you peel back the layers? What does that look like? You know, for some people that might mean, I want to be able to get on the ground and play with my kids without any pain or discomfort. Or that might mean, I want my kids not to be sitting on the couch watching television, eating Cheetos, just like I taught them how to. Or that might mean, I actually want to be alive to take care of my kids, because it scares me to death, the idea of I might not be alive, and who the hell is going to take care of my kids if I pass away. Those are, you know, 3 different examples, much more specific examples of being there for your kids. And that's going to look different for all of us. So whatever motivates you, and here's a really good indication. If you feel like you have tears welling up in your eyes when you're writing this shit down, that is motivating.
Yeah. That you're accessing a part of the brain that isn't happy with what's going on. And I think you brought up beautiful examples of all of this, Naomi. And something I want to I'm all about bringing things to the table. Something I just want to bring up to all of you that, for those of you who are not used to emoting and feeling and talking about emotions, there may be people on here who don't want to talk about how you feel and might be like, this is ridiculous. Like, I don't need to talk about my deepest, darkest secrets. I just want to lose some fat. And I honor that and I respect that. And as somebody who has sustained this, who works with people as well as Naomi, again, I mentioned this before, this is a huge part of the journey, that there's a reason why the weight came on. Okay, yes, there's science to it. Calories in, calories out. But we all know when we should stop eating. We all know that sensation. There's a reason why we're continuing to overeat. Or there's a reason why our body is not properly digesting food. There's a reason why we're not exercising. So it's important that we activate this part of this part of our brain and get honest with ourselves. And something I want to say is, if you're hitting this part and you're like, I'm not comfortable with this, there may be a part of you that doesn't actually mind being overweight. And I know that's kind of controversial. And part of that might be unconscious, but for myself, for a long time, I said I wanted to lose weight, but there was a part of me that was afraid to, because I didn't know and I wasn't aware of it at the time. I was like, oh, heck yeah, I'm going to lose weight. But my habits didn't follow my words. And when our habits aren't following our words, there's a disconnect going on there. So I just wanted to present that to you, that if there's a part of you who, you don't want to talk about your emotions, or if you feel like I'm trying everything and I can't do it, it's never working. Do you actually want to lose the weight? Is there a part of you that wants to let go of it? Is there a part of you that likes this protection? Is weight protective for you? So we're going to be talking about something shortly here that's going to go more in depth about, an opportunity to explore this part of yourself. But I just wanted you to be aware of that if there's even only one person on here that is experiencing that, I want you to be aware that that is where you meet yourself. If you can't come up with these things, then I want you to meet yourself exactly where you are and acknowledge that.
I'm so glad you brought that up, Eve. I'm so glad, because I was one of those people. When I weighed 300 pounds, I was not an emotional person at all. Anytime that something negative came up, yeah, I dwelled on it for a while, but then it was like, nope, full charge ahead, full steam ahead. I'm just going to ignore it and keep on going. The more we ignore and push aside our feelings, the more stuck that we're going to stay, the more it's going to stick with us, the more that we're going to run up against failure and setback. So addressing what's happening and how we feel about it is honestly the key to becoming more successful at this.
Mm-hmm. Very, very true. So if anybody's on here who feels alone about that, I'm like, I think we should talk about it. So, and of course you can email Naomi or myself about this, and we can discuss it further. But get specific. So yeah, so now what? So like, what do you do from here? Like, we just talked about all these great things. We talked about, coming up with our strong, compelling, and specific why. And we talked about food and setbacks and patience and exercise and focus and overwhelm. Now what?
Yeah, now what? Well, I have a lot of questions coming up in the chat. I know that we were emailed a lot of questions. I know that there were some questions in the Facebook community. If you don't mind, I'm going to go ahead and take down this slide, and I'm going to look over some of the questions that are in the chat. There's quite a few. So, if you want to maybe take a stab at some of these questions, and then if I feel compelled to take a stab, I will, and we'll just go from there. So let me hit stop on this slide. I'm back.
Hello.
Okay.
Awesome.
I'm going to scroll back up through these questions. Eve, did you want to talk about some of the questions that were emailed, or maybe one of the questions that was in the Facebook community while I'm kind of filtering through these?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you again so much for the questions. They're so insightful for us. They're so insightful for other individuals in this community. So thank you. One of the ones we noticed that a few people brought up that was relevant to Naomi and myself was the witching hour of eating. So thank you for the individual that brought that up initially. And what that means, from what I could take from the individual, is that she eats great most of the time or pretty much all the time. And then there's this certain time of night where she starts craving a certain food, whether it be wine, whether it be chocolate, whether it be just whatever the food it is that she's craving. And she feels powerless to it. And Naomi and myself both have experienced that time and time again. And it can happen to us even right now because it is a habit. As I can tell you, we tend to get in this loop and believe that we are stuck and that we are powerless. And even the act of being powerless is you actively giving up your power and saying, I am taking the power that I hold and I'm giving it to you. So now I am powerless. And so we're doing that with food. And it feels very real, though. It feels like this damn chocolate bar is gonna, get me if I don't eat it. And so what you start doing is becoming stronger than the sensation. So like I talked about with regards to exercise, of just stepping into that discomfort, even if it's just for a moment. We can do that with lifting weights, like lifting one more weight. Oh my God, it hurts so bad. I'm going to lift one more. So do that with food. So if it's 9 p.m. and you're like, oh, wine and chocolate, here I come. It's a habit. No different than, oh, I'm about to go to sleep. I need to brush my teeth. It is a habit you've created. So start exploring this concept. Okay, all I want to do is I want to reach for the chocolate and the wine. Don't allow yourself to reach for it, even if it's for 5 minutes. Like I'm gonna hold off for 5 minutes. Like I can eat it. And that is how you slowly start reprogramming. And as a neuro-linguistic programmer, I'm telling you this from experience, professional as well as personal, you will start to rewire your habits. So it comes down to, A, becoming aware of the behavior, and B, starting to slowly unravel it and starting to have a new behavior. So maybe start reading a magazine at 9 o'clock instead. Start playing with that behavior. Somebody else brought this up in private where they have the switching hour of eating, but then they start sneaking food. And so Naomi and I, for a brief moment, wanted to touch on that. If anybody has experienced that with sneaking food, is that there's a certain time or a certain place where every hour that happens, or every time you go there, you go and you're sneaking food. I honor you first and foremost for bringing that up. Secondly, fun fact, Naomi and myself have been food sneakers. And one of my earliest food sneaking experiences happened in 3rd grade when the lunch lady told me and my, I guess, boyfriend, who I didn't even hold hands with at the time, were told we could have extra chicken nuggets. And we were like, oh my God, it was like Christmas. And I started literally like shoving chicken nuggets in my mouth, and I started shoving them in every pocket, pants pockets, jacket pockets, breast pockets, for my reserves for later. And so I went to the bathroom and it was like I couldn't eat it fast enough. So there was, for me, it was shame around food. It was shame and it was kind of acceptance. It was like this experience of being filled. It's like what food did to me. It was like a part of me felt empty. And so when I could eat food, which was a consistent, pleasurable taste and feeling, then I then became that feeling of fullness. So sneaking food, it feels like you are powerless to it. Absolutely. But again, it's that behavior of allow yourself to behavior. And B, if you want to go and take the chicken nuggets in the bathroom with you, how do you feel by not being able to bite the chicken nuggets? Just start experimenting with this part of yourself. I mean, this is a very basic, there's other formulas, Naomi and myself can help you with. Just become aware of the behavior and how you do have a strength within you to hold off from eating it a little bit longer. So the next time, this individual goes into the bathroom or wherever you are and you're sneaking food, I want you to start becoming really aware of what are you thinking about? What are you feeling? Are you feeling shameful? Are you thinking about how good it feels? Are you thinking about how bad it feels or how powerless you are? Because it very much, you are not a victim to it and you are not powerless. It is a decision that we are making on a consistent basis. And how it changed for me is I made a decision, I am not going to do this anymore. And even if I slipped up, I'm not going to do it anymore. And I don't sneak food. So it's and for the sake of time, this is something that we're going to be presenting you with what's next. We'll be going over things further about that. So thank you for your honesty. Thank you for talking about that. Let's start building new habits by literally just replacing the old with something new.
Yes. Gosh, we're running out of time. I didn't realize how far along we are. we might only be able to answer 1 or 2 more questions at this rate, Eve. What does your schedule look like for today? Do you feel like you might have a little bit extra time, just a little?
I have extra time if people, I got a little extra time if people want a little extra time. You showed
Okay.
up.
Good. So I want to read off one of Chloe's questions here in the chat. She says, how can I measure progress without weighing myself? I smashed my scale back in October and I haven't weighed since. I am an ex-dieter. The chat just messed up. Hold on. I am an ex-dieter and scales aren't healthy for me. Thank you both for this event. Chloe, first of all, I congratulate you for smashing your scale back in October, because that is not to measure your progress whatsoever. That's telling you, it's reinforcing in your mind that all that freaking matters is a number on a scale. There's so much more to life that matters more than that number. You are doing this to make you happy, hopefully so that you feel better, not so that you weigh 120 pounds or whatever that so-called ideal weight is. For me, measuring my progress, the best way was, because I have more of an analytical mindset of analytical personality. I'm more of a thinker than a feeler. I like to measure my progress through tracking my workouts that I am physically doing, not something that was just pure luck because I lost some water weight one day. It was because I was actually taking an action to facilitate a weight loss or a strength gain. So I started making an exercise log of how many push-ups I could do, how many chest presses, how far I could run, jog, or walk, stuff like that, that I could incrementally progress on day by day or week by week so that I could see that progress. And that would be my best suggestion to you, Chloe. What do you think that would look like for you, Eve?
Brilliant for starters with things like sit-ups, push-ups, burpees. Absolutely. Because that's, we're talking about a quality of life here. And if you can do more burpees or more push-ups or, stretch further, stretch your hamstrings further, that's providing you a better quality of life. The other piece is use a fabric measuring tape and measure once a month. You don't need to be measuring every single week. You're going to fluctuate, especially as women. We have menstrual cycles. We ovulate. Our bodies change through several weeks of the month. So get just a fabric tape measure all one side, or you can do both sides, and figure out, your forearm, your waist, so around your belly button, the widest part of your hips, and your right thigh. And then come back a month later, try it again, because that is going to be a huge indicator of your body transforming. And make it fun. I'm always, Naomi and myself are all about adventure and about fun. So I'm always like, maybe see how, I don't know, throw something that means something to you out there. So like for me, how long can I jump on a trampoline is something like I'd throw in there. Like, oh, I was only able to jump on the trampoline for 30 minutes this month, but next month I was able to do 35. Just making it fun. If logistics are what you need, and even for somebody who's very expressive like I am, I still like metrics. So I would say absolutely what Naomi said with regards to the exercise, get out a tape measure as well. Screw that damn scale. Ugh. I weighed myself for the first time in almost a year recently, and I was like, oh, cool, not a lot changed, even though a lot has changed.
It's so true. There's other ways to measure our progress. The best progress can't even be measured with the numbers. It really can't. And I like how you said that one way that you measure your progress is through like jumping on the trampoline and seeing how much you can jump. Another way that I measure my progress, even as someone that considers myself a thinker, when I go out for my runs, I call them adventure runs. And it's not necessarily me running. Sometimes it's hiking, sometimes it's walking, but I take pictures along the way of interesting things that I find. And that's another way that I monitor my so-called progress, is that I have all of these neat pictures of experiences that I went through while I was working out and while I'm on this journey of maintaining my weight loss. So that might be another way that you might want to monitor your progress.
Very, very cool. That's beautiful, Naomi. I didn't know that. I see your beautiful pictures. I didn't know that. That's awesome.
Yeah. So, should we answer another question in the chat, or do you want to hit?
Yeah, let's do one more. Let's make time for one more, and then I'd like to discuss what we have in store for everybody.
Okay, so I saw a question, and this is a good one for both of us. Mary Ann says, how do you shut out the negativity and or not self-sabotage, but sabotage from other people in your life? Thanks. Do you want to start that?
Thank you for bringing that up. How do we shut it out? Well, even within that statement, you're allowing it in. And I know that's kind of a harsh statement to make, but that's a reality that these things are hurting us because they're affecting us. They're going against how we think we should be treated or how we should be spoken to. It's violating a belief or a value that we have. And one of the hardest parts of this journey, which was interesting, is as I started to lose weight, people treated me different. Not like boys liked me more, although that definitely happened. People who loved me told me I liked you better when you were heavier. Or, some people experience like, oh, you're really fat. You really should lose weight. You'd be so much prettier if you weren't so fat. So I'd hear all this different chitter chatter, and it like ate at me. And, even about weight, just people, how they treat you and how they speak and how they show up in the world that affects you. We have to have less expectations of others and more expectations of ourselves. That was a really, really, really hard lesson for me to learn. I was like, well, this person should be acting this way, or they should be doing this. And great, I'm shooting all over myself right now that they don't need to be doing anything that they don't want to be doing. And one of a piece of wisdom that somebody gave me, my dear, that I can give to you is what other people think of you is none of your business. It really isn't. And that is why Naomi and myself are so about self-acceptance, self-compassion, self-care, self-love, because this is your journey, hun. And this is you doing you. That's what we like to say around it. You do you. The more we focus on other people, the more it is just going to pollute us. So how do we combat that? Acknowledgement. So you're already nailing it. Secondly, what is it that you want? Are you wanting them to treat you better? Are you, understand what are you wanting out of this situation? How are you wanting it to go? And I would say the other piece is, in order for these people to treat me how I want to be treated, who would I need to be? Put the ball in your court. In order to get the experience that I want out of life, who do I need to be? That's the most, I think, single-handedly, the best question you can ask yourself. Who do I need to be in this world? So that's with regards to sabotage, I'd say.
I love that, Eve, because I always tell people we have to teach other people how to treat us. If we treat ourselves like shit, other people are going to walk all over us and treat us like shit because we accepted that behavior at some point in our lives. For whatever reason, we accepted it. And that's how other people have learned how to treat us. So it's not necessarily 100% that other person's fault. We have to take some of the blame ourselves that, yep, we did this to ourselves a little bit. Another thing about this, I believe this was Mary Ann that asked this question. We talk negatively a lot about our journeys. We talk about the struggles, we talk about the frustrations, but how often do we talk about how good it feels? I don't know about you, but anytime that I've been talking about all of the struggles and frustrations of anything really hard that I'm going through, whether it's weight loss journey, going back to school, or becoming an entrepreneur and starting my own business, if I talk about all of the struggles that come along with that, guess what? The people in my life do not want to support me in it. They want to say, Naomi, I want you to be happy. I want you to be happy. So why the hell are you doing this to yourself? Why don't you give up? Because quite frankly, a lot of people are not skilled in sitting down with you and having a conversation about, this is, a different way to look at it. Most people in our lives are not therapists. Let's be honest. They don't know how to do, they don't know how to have that conversation. So the easiest thing that they can tell you is give up. And we see that as us, we see that as, oh, they're sabotaging me. They're telling me to give up. No, once again, it's our dialogue about what's going on in our lives. Yes, we have struggles. Yes, we need to acknowledge them, but we also need to acknowledge all of the good things that come along with taking on this weight loss journey. You know, did you discover a new food that you like, that you've never known that you do like, and you're like 50 years old and you never ate this food before, and now all of a sudden you love it? Well, tell somebody about it. You know, don't just talk about the restriction part of it. I think that's a huge component of getting people on your side and rallying them.
Yeah. And the last piece I'll add to that, Marianne, some people, I'm just going to keep it really real with you, you're going to have to remove them out of your life. And during this journey, I broke off 2 different engagements in these 6 years. And part of that was because I was attracting the wrong type of man, because I was looking for my own personal happiness through them. So I had to let go of them in order to stay on this journey. And friends, family members. I didn't talk to my mom for 2 years because it wasn't supportive to me. And now we talk, and I love her, and, you know, we have a relationship. You know, family, there were several family members that was weird at times because I was changing, and I was, I showed up in a different way, and they're like, what the heck? Like, I don't want you to be this happy. We want you happy, but like at this level. So just honor that. You're going to lose people. You're going to gain people on this journey. It's just how it goes.
For
so
sure.
I'm sorry that's hard, such facts, but sadly it's reality.
Well, you know, you both and I have talked back and forth about our experiences with relationships, and I've went through 2 or 3 boyfriends during my weight loss journey, and I've had some very strained relationships with people treating me differently as well. So I think that we both know very well that this is a cold, hard fact about weight loss and how people are going to show up in your life. So I appreciate you for sharing that, Eve.
Yeah, absolutely. And I appreciate you for sharing it, Marianne, and Chloe, and everybody. I appreciate your willingness to ask questions and participate. And for those who show up in the world, Naomi and I are big believers that they should be rewarded, because once we started showing up for ourselves and showing up for the quality of life that we wanted to create, we started noticing that we started getting rewarded more. It did take a level of patience, but we started to see reward, which is why we have created this next level for you all. And we're so excited to bring it. So now what? It's a whole nother, well, okay, great. So this was fun. You know, the 5 days were awesome. Thanks for the day 6 and for answering questions. But like, now what? Well, Naomi and I have been talking about, you know, what is it that individuals need through your questions, through the community that we've created, through our own personal backgrounds, through our professional backgrounds now. And we have actually discovered, we've created something called the Discovery Diet. And we're very excited to be presenting this to you today. And diets, not spelled D-I-E-T, because that just spelled the word die, isn't it? And that's just not cool. But it is D-Y-E-T, because we ultimately want to take the word diet back. We want to reclaim the word diet. So many of you, you know, the most feedback we got was about food. And so we want to create a diet that doesn't just incorporate what we feed our bodies, but what we feed our mind and our soul. And so the Discovery Diet is embracing in the power that already lives within you. So this is overcoming weight loss and wellness roadblocks and setbacks from your own unique personality and perception. You know, so many of us waste so much money on diet programs and fad diets that are outrageously expensive and that are set up for us to fail. I'm sure everybody on here has paid some money for something, even if it was an expensive granola bar. You know, like I can tell you, how many times I'm like, I'm going to try $10 kombucha, and how much it sucked. You know, it's the health industry. It seems like it's designed to take your money and give you virtually nothing. And so having been 2 individuals who've been on both sides of this journey, we wanted to provide something with you, course, that was designed for you to succeed because it embraced your strengths and your own unique properties. Because ultimately, like we've shared this whole time, that's what Naomi and myself have done. So what the Discovery Diet is, the D-Y-E-T, is a 4-week course where you receive content every single week. And we're in the stages of developing this. So these are the 4 modules, the 4 curriculums, and that's going to go over food, stress, exercise, and relationships. So food, of course, we're going to discuss, not so much diets, but styles of eating, ways of eating, helping you to find based off your personality, what is your food personality, if you will. Because Naomi has created this amazing personality test that, you probably heard me and her talk a lot about our personalities, her being the analytical thinker, me being the expressive driver, feeler. And by noting this about ourselves, we have then been able to succeed even deeper into our personal, professional, and intimate lives. So we help you to understand that. What is your personality? What is your food personality? What is your stress personality? What is your exercise personality? What ultimately for relationships? So as a thinker, as a feeler, how are you showing up in relationships? What are your intimate relationships like? What are your relationships with food like, with exercise? We're going to help you shed light on all of these areas of your life, because all of this is about self-awareness. When we go over the week about stress, we're going to talk about self-compassion. I have an excellent meditation that I've created to help open your unconscious mind, to help you to understand yourself a little bit deeper about some of these things that maybe consciously you're not currently aware of. So we're going to be sending this to you. It's going to be video format. We have worksheets, discovery sheets, kind of like the Choose Your Own Adventures you've all received. And this is it's excellent content created by both me and Naomi. So it's going to be somewhat similar format, would you say, to the 5 things I wish I knew with regards to discovery sheets and content, just a much longer course?
Yes, very much more thorough, easy to understand. It's going to be completely customized to each personality, because in my own experience, I have done personality assessments, personality coaching, and there are 4 core personalities, each of them very different, and each of them needs a different path to take to own on their journey to weight loss. And so it's going to be very customized and much more thorough, Eve.
Awesome, because it needs to be, because you're not a box. Somebody said that on the page today, which I loved. She's like, I'll be there, be square. And it was like, but yeah, you don't have to be, don't show up as a square if you're an octagon. It's not one formula. So we're going to find and hold space and help you to discover what is my formula so that I lose weight and I keep it off this time. And as I said before, release weight, because we're going to consciously and unconsciously let it go. Ultimately, we're bringing awareness to our behaviors and our personal beliefs by teaching you a new level of self-awareness and new level of self-compassion that is completely custom tailored to you. We keep giving you all this great information, but how? How do we do this? Well, we're going to provide you with strategies individually with your personalities on how you get to do this at this time. I've said before, this time gets to be different because you get to be different, and we're going to show you exactly what that looks like. And this course, so you're probably like, okay, this all sounds really great, but like, how much is it? And that's usually the part where, the weight loss industry is like, for $10,000. For this program, it is for 4 weeks of content. You get me and Naomi in this style. You get the videos, you get the MP3 format, so that way you can take us on your walks with you. You can jam with us in your car. You'll also have things that you can print out, worksheets to write on. It's only $100. And so when Naomi and I did the math, that was the equivalent of a Starbucks every single day. So it's about $3.30 a day. So if you gave up Starbucks between now and then every single day, or maybe, I don't know, maybe it's a sandwich for you, it's Subway, or maybe a Big Mac, I don't know. But if you were to save that money and put it aside, this time would get to be different for you. So this starts July 11th. And it's going to be going for 4 weeks. So that starts on a Monday. But for those of you who are live on the webinar, thank you for staying with us. We have a scholarship into the course that we want to offer you, an opportunity. So Naomi, let us know a little bit about that, because I'm super excited for this person.
Yeah. So for one person that happens to be live, like there are quite a few people in the chat. I'm sure there's quite a few people listening that are not signed into the chat. So you'll want to really perk up your ears for this and be paying attention, because this is going to be pretty exciting. I'm going to bring up a screen share again so that you have the information in front of you, and no excuses not to write this down. So I do this a lot with my programs and courses, because I understand that there's some people out there just, even though this is $100, I understand that there's some people that just simply cannot afford $100 for whatever reason. So if you go to this website listed above, that's bit.ly/diet scholarship. And that's diet spelled with a Y, because we were addressing your reasons why you are on this weight loss journey. So no I, it's a Y. And go into that website, and there's going to be a scholarship form there. It's got a few questions in there. These are questions that I really need to know about you in order to make the best decision on who so-called deserves the scholarship. We want to know about your struggles. We want to know why it hasn't worked in the past. We want to know, have you worked with somebody in the past with your health and wellness and weight loss and all that good stuff. You want to be as thorough as possible, because you are not the only one filling out this scholarship. There are going to be quite a few women that really want this for themselves. So be as honest and vulnerable as possible. No one else is going to see this entry. Yeah, just us. So, be vulnerable, because vulnerability counts for a lot on this journey. If you want a little bit of a bonus, if you want your scholarship form ranking a little bit higher above other people's, you can share on Instagram one thing that you learned from both Eve and I during this 5-day event. So both of us have heard many things in the Facebook community, little ahas and insights of what's really clicked for you this time in the information that we've shared. So what is that going to be for you? You can share that on Instagram. If you have an Instagram account, if you don't have an Instagram account, sign up for one. This is your chance. It's not hard. Just sign up for an account. Yeah, it's really easy. Sign up for an Instagram account. Use a photo that you feel is relevant to, what your takeaway was from this event. Use a relevant photo, write about it. Make sure that you tag both Inspirational Eve and Inspire Transformation. And we have that spelled out on the screen for you. You want to use the hashtag Discovery Diet, once again, with a Y and not an I. If you use it with an I, it's not going to get counted. We're not going to see it. So
you're not about those diets.
Yes. Just remember, this is why you are on this weight loss journey. So make sure you use the hashtag Y, Discovery Diet with a Y. Tag us both in it. Explain at least one thing that you learned from both Eve and I on this 5-day event, because we want to know what really hit home for you, because that will help us guide our thinking and our creation and our teaching to better suit you. So the deadline for this, 11:59 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on Sunday. That's tomorrow.
Right.
Yeah, so you don't have very much time to do these two things. You don't even have to do the Instagram thing if you don't want to. You can still win by doing just the scholarship form. The Instagram is just an added bonus to show us that you really want this. So
Absolutely. And for those of you who are listening to the replay and weren't able to be here live, again, you can very much, if you are like, but I want to be a part of this Discovery Diet, you can still absolutely be a part of the Discovery Diet 4-week course. That's just where the $100 price is. Naomi, they have a place where they can actually go to reserve a spot for this. Is there something we can show them for that?
Yeah, if they go to discoverydiet.com, it's spelled out the exact same way it is on your screen here, Discovery Diet with a Y.com. There is a little sneak peek landing page, a little brief discussion of what the Discovery Diet's about. And then there is a wait list. When you sign up for the wait list, you're not obligating yourself to anything. You're not paying for anything. You're not saying, yes, sign me up. You're just signing up for information. That is it. We're not going to be hounding you, calling you on the phone, showing up at your door. Hey, where's that $100? Nothing like that. You're just going to getting information in your email inbox that's going to tell you this is a little bit of what we're doing behind the scenes, because Eve and I are still working on this course. We have laid the foundation for it. Now we are working on all of the modules and getting them together in the best possible way for you. So as we are doing that, you're going to receive emails to say, hey, this is a behind the scenes sneak peek at what Eve's doing, what Naomi's doing. Here's a little tip about your personality. If you have this, particular personality type and how you want to maybe address this particular stressful situation that comes up, that's the type of information that you're going to get if you sign up for the wait list. Now, you can sign up for the program now. If you're already sold on this and you love the back and forth conversation that Eve and I have, you love the different personalities that both of us have, great. If you loved the information that we've given you over the last 5 days and you want to sign up for this now, you can get it now by signing up at the wait list. You will be taken to a PayPal link where you can sign up now. But I highly suggest you trying to get that scholarship first.
Might as well. Somebody has to win it.
I agree. So that is the scholarship. I think that I've left this slide up a little, hopefully I've left it up long enough.
Awesome.
So
yes.
I'm going to take it down.
Awesome. Perfect. And yes, like we said, why we wanted to provide that last piece to you about the why. If we never saw you again, we want you to know why. And if there's a part of you who still wants to explore this with Naomi and myself and see, how much further you can take this with us as well as yourself, and you don't want to do this first part of the leg of your journey alone, I strongly suggest signing up for the Discovery Diet scholarship, seeing if you get it. And if you don't, invest. And, $100 can be a lot. That's still an investment. That is taking a chance with something. I know for myself, when I'm going to throw $100 down, I just, I want to know I'm getting what I want out of it. So if you've enjoyed this, award yourself this opportunity for this time to be different, to not have to figure it all out by yourself. That was a huge thing for Naomi and myself, that we had to figure all of this out by trial and error and falling on our face and screwing up and failing. And yeah, we learned and we got a lot of patience from it, but it took a lot of time. So award yourself this. Award yourself the opportunity to make this time different and to solidify the transformation, in a community that supports you.
Yeah, it's not every day that you can learn about sustained weight loss from two women that have sustained a weight loss long term and have two different personalities. So we are approaching this from unique, two different perspectives. So we understand that there's not a one size fits all rigid way of doing this.
One size fits all always annoyed me when I was big. I was like, one size does not fit all. So we honor you all. Thank you so much for being a part of this. It has been such a joy for both Naomi and myself to share this, to be on this journey with you, to provide this information, to learn with you and from you, from your excellent questions and your excellent and beautiful perspectives. I honor each and every single one of you. And I honor you, Naomi. Thank you. This has been fun with you.
Likewise. Thank you so much, Eve, for being here with us, to add your own personal just a wealth of information, and just being you, being who you are, being authentic to who you are and not trying to be somebody else, because I know so many people out there are trying to be somebody else, like we talked about with the social comparisons. And honestly, what we love about people is when they are authentic, when they are being themselves. So I appreciate you for that. And it shows me more of, it teaches me more of being myself. So
I honor all of you. Thank you for that, honey. And truly, same here. This has been so cool. And let's keep it going, everybody. Let's keep it going with this authentic conversation, expression, curiosity, taking our life to the next level. So Discovery Diet, we are taking back diets and understanding why we are doing this. So if you have any questions, reach out to us. Go to that link that Naomi sent to you. Get your scholarship submissions in by tomorrow night. And we look forward to seeing you in July.
Yes, and we'll keep the Facebook community open for those of you that happen to be in there. We'll be stopping in every once in a while and saying hi and offering some insight. And we will post the link in the Facebook community also for the Discovery Diet. The link for the scholarship will not be in the Facebook community because that is for you because you are live. So, you get that extra chance that other people don't because you showed up for yourself today. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Awesome. Thank you everyone so much. And like I said, we will see you all in July for the Discovery Diet.
Have a good day, guys. Thank you for being with us.